Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out for our first of the year, January 1, 2024. It's my first time saying it to our new site, our new link, and our new format for our Monday night meetings. We are moving to a new location, and it's probably going to take a couple of weeks for everybody to get used to going to the new location. But what I need everybody to do is just make sure you pass it on to as many people as you can to get them to come on and help us out with getting the word spread on this new community format. Now, what I do want everybody to understand is that this format is not going to be the previous platform where we um, highlighted issues in the community that needed to be repaired or fixed. We're moving to a more educational format, meaning understanding government, how it works, um, how to handle our money better, how to handle our health better, but primarily to just make sure we are explaining more and more about how government functions so people know how to interact and engage within the system to move it forward to where we need it to be as a community. That being said, I want to take a moment to let our one and only, the gentleman himself, come on and speak. Come on out. Reeves, the gentleman from District 5.
Hello.
Would you like to say a few words?
Hey, happy new year. Happy second day of the year. First day of the year, second day of the week. And so, as I don't know about y'all, but I've been working. So I am cleaning up as we speak. And so it's been an all day task. I got a lot of trash. And so, um, but however, good to be here. Good to continue on. And thank you all for being such good constituents. And let's get to learning. And so this is going to be a great platform, education, how government works, how voting works, you know, um, really take a deep dive into what we just experienced. And so I'm not upset. I'm just saying it's all a process, but we must understand the process. So hats off to Miko and to all of the people who are going to collaborate and give insight onto how government works and what you've experienced, and how did you grow with government, and do you feel like you are growing with government, and as your voices truly felt. All right, that's all I got.
Hey, I'd like to make a comment too, Mr. Reed. First of all, you know, I empathize that you losing that election because I don't think it should have happened if we can focus on adding, in addition to learning financial literacy and whatnot, the importance of voting, because there was several hundred people voting. I personally told many people to speak to go vote for you, and if all of them vote, I was really shocked. But you know we as a people got to really understand the importance of voting, period, especially in our local elections. And if we don't, while they joking around and procrastinating, Donald Trump could be the next president, because the black women primarily get out and vote, but the men don't. They still here in 2024 talk about, well, my vote don't count. I think we definitely need to add that into our wheelhouse of knowledge when we understand how voting works, the importance of voting, and why your vote does count.
Thank you.
Absolutely correct.
That's actually the point of the this meeting tonight. There is no topic or speaker because the community is the speaker. And because it's the beginning of the year, that is really the point of tonight, is to get your own input of what are some of the things you think people don't understand about government, or you don't understand about government, or topics that you think we need to discuss on here and highlight so people have a better understanding. So I am ready to take notes. So I have the importance of voting. Does your vote count? Why are men not voting?
Okay, Tamiko, and for me, yeah, I think for us to learn more about the legislative process, how policy become laws, how our legislators represent us or don't, and just that whole process with the legislation, in our communities. And just like you all says, it starts with the vote. And in order to get what we need in our community and from our legislative or elected officials, then, we must vote, and we must, go to or attend these meetings that makes a difference in getting what we need in our community. So I think learning that legislative process would be great.
Hey, in addition to, I totally agree with Ms. Williams, but in addition, while we're learning the basics, the legislative process, we need to understand that while we are being passive about learning, things are happening. When they do away with affirmative action, it does not just apply to our fairness getting into colleges and institutions. For example, as a business owner's perspective and as a owner of my own black bank, it affects 8.8 certification. So there are a lot of businesses that want to go through that program, minority business, to get 8.8 certified, and also they can learn all the foundational aspect of starting a business and all. And that stuff is put on hold. It's on hold with the affirmative action. So there's a lot of ways that this affects us. It's affect us not just in that aspect, but while that's happening, we going on with life like it doesn't. Another thing, we look at Donald Trump as being a challenge, but yet at the same time, we have to really research these people, like DeSantis, for example. He's been more passive aggressive. He's been continually putting people, doing away with a lot of support that we get in the Black community. Of course, alleviating them, putting any books out in the shelf in Florida that had anything to do with slavery. And don't talk about reparations. I mean, that's a sinful word. We've got to be aware of how it actually affects us in a big way. And that it ain't about us just making it through life and relying on the government. Because if we don't get out there and vote, before you know it, it'll be Jim Crow all over again. And that's a fact. I see it from a different perspective. I see that aspect of what could happen. So we really got to do this because it's critical and it's a total requirement for life.
That is exactly correct. And if you look at, people need to be aware and start looking at some of the things that are coming back. I was just telling somebody that I was saying, it's just like the 60s never happened. It's like it's coming back. When the Supreme Court decided that Section 5, the Voting Rights Act, was, okay to not to renew, I find that being a problem. I was like, okay. And then once Trump lost in the 2020 race, well, guess what the Republicans, the GOP did in Georgia? They created one of the most egregious voting rights bill since the Jim Crow. So the 202, Senate Bill 202, okay, and the people don't believe it. I mean, look at what happened when we did get ready to go vote again. Lines, long, and then they talking about, well, you can't give nobody anything to drink, you can't give anybody anything to eat, and if you start looking at this stuff, it just looks like we're going backwards. And, I'm just in agreement with, I think that's Mr. Bryant?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, we got to be aware. We got to get the right people in office. And we got to start being a little bit more aggressive, instead of being passive when it comes to trying to, put people in certain areas where they can run on some of this legislative level, because now with the maps being, just look at now, maps being redrawn and, nothing really changed there. It's like either we're running against each other or else we're put in an area where we're running against, a Republican in their area. So of course we know who's gonna win. So we gotta wake up, y'all.
And Ms. Williams,
Could I
Oh.
get in there? This
Yeah.
is Chandra. My hand's been up.
oh,
So,
okay, son.
I have an appreciation for what both of you are saying, but I'm also of the premise that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Voting rights and rules behind voting is absolutely an issue, but dealing with that in addition to what's currently going on within the community as it relates to the city of South Fulton in particular, there are various offices from not only city council, but you also have economic development and you have planning and zoning, in that there are also active as it relates to how businesses and how various companies come into the community and where they can legally put up and do construction as it relates to the particular zonings of these communities. Far too many of us have no idea about the zoning of our immediate area, let alone keeping our ears and eyes to the ground and spreading the information as it relates to what's currently going on within your community. Too many times we are inundated with a whole lot of social media stuff that really doesn't have any bearing on our lives and things that are going on immediately around us. You don't chime in until ground is broke, or you're chiming in on Nextdoor, Facebook. Have no idea who your local representation is, let alone how to get a message to said individual or that whole process. So
hey, Chandra, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I'm really thrilled to hear the wealth of knowledge of what you guys are saying. I think what's important is that we don't just meet on these forums, but we actually communicate with one another, share our telephone numbers and so forth, and work together, because in your wheelhouse, there may be an area opportunity where we can support you. And then Miss Williams may be doing something where we could support there, and collectively we make it happen. Because, Miss Williams mentioned we got to keep the right people in office. Well, in this case, I agree with that. But, we had Corey Reeves. We just still got to get people to vote. Now, as far as utilizing our sweet spots and so forth, for example, I'm over education for the 100 Black men of South Metro Atlanta. And what I do At Banneker High School now and Tri-Cities High School and Morrow High School, I teach financial literacy every other week on Wednesday. I think that's important for these kids. And then I give them money and so forth. You know, our foundation gives scholarships and all. So we focus on that aspect. You may have something that you do. The fact that I have access to so many influential men and what have you, we need to actually start communicating, not being like new neighbors where you don't know the neighbors, but you live next door to each other for the last 10 years. We really got to work together because it's critical. You know, if we don't do this, talking about they're here to annihilate us. What I advise everybody to do if you get a chance, read the book by Robert Louis Pierce, Turner Diaries. That's Donald Trump. A favorite book is a fictional book, a fictional account of white men taking over America and doing away with black folks. And I've read it and advise others to read it. It'll blow your mind because you'll see this book was written many years ago, and then you'll start seeing some of the things they do now and all. So, you know, this is something we got to deal with. So I'm elated to know who you are, Chandra. I appreciate what you just said because that is powerful. And you know, we got to work together because having 8 people's on this call when we should have 100, just based on the beginning of this conversation. Yeah.
All right. What was the name of the book again?
Turner Diaries by Robert Louis Pierce. Turner Diaries.
And I think Miss Johnson had her hand up too, Tamika.
Stacey Williams got a hand up.
All righty. Go ahead.
Oh, Miss Johnson or?
It doesn't matter.
Oh. Miss Johnson, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, but Miss Williams can go on if she got some.
Oh no, it wasn't me. He was saying, oh, whoever the other person was. Okay.
Okay. I agree with what the 3 of y'all was saying, but I'm gonna come from a different angle now. I am basically right now concerned because what happened today is that if you have insurance, you will be able to see any specialist or any doctor you want to see. But what happened if you don't have the insurance, since your governor is not accepting Medicaid here anymore? And so if you don't have the insurance, then you wind up not being able to be seen by a doctor. And then my second thing is that I feel like when seniors become seniors, we'll say 75, 76 or up above, that they should be putting one of their children's that they can trust or somebody name on their account because too many people are getting ripped off.
I'm writing notes.
And then second of all, I think that I agree with you all on getting out voting because we definitely need to get that governor out of there because he do not want Black people to have anything. Basically, that's the role. Anything that anybody passed anywhere else, he's not gonna let it come to Georgia. I'm finished. I yield.
Miss Stacy, what's something you think we should explore while we on here?
Was that question directed to one person in particular, Tamiko?
Yeah, Miss Stacy hadn't had a chance to say anything or go ahead.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, Chandra, thank you so much for sending me the message too. I literally just saw it. So I'm glad you all have put this together. It's I don't have anything to offer at this moment. I think what we're doing on this call is powerful in itself because we're not going to have all the answers today. You know, we're not going to have them next month. It's going to have to be a continuous conversation. And I think as long as we have forums like this, as long as, you know, we can support you, Tamiko, you, Chandra, whomever else has put this call together, as long as we can support by telling a friend, you know, we can
Mhm.
actually get the word out that there is a space where we talk civilly and we can at least propose or recommend solutions to some of the problems that we have. So, sorry to be long-winded. I don't have anything right now, but I guess I have that.
So first of all, you're not long-winded and your input is valuable and what you said is valuable. And the tell a friend is definitely something we need to make sure we promote because this platform is no longer just District 5 focused. This is our community as a whole focus. And that community doesn't necessarily even just have to be the city of South Fulton because learning about local legislation or understanding your government needs to happen across the board. But we definitely are targeting South Fulton. But you know, things that happen in College Park impact us, Union City impacts us. But we just need people as a whole to start understanding, to come on and talk about it, learn about it, so they can start telling people what's going on and we get the word out. Like you said, we should have a goal maybe to try every week to get at least 2 new people to join. Um, is all I ask. Post it on your social media. It'll be the same link and just start posting it, passing it on to people. If you can do that, we would appreciate it. Miss Gidry, do you have something that you want to see us talk about more or wish someone would have explained better? Or you are confused about that you would love someone to explain it? Okay. Miss Pierre, do you have anything you want us to research to put on the list to get started?
Hi, Tamiko.
Hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All righty. And you?
Yeah. Where's Corey? Is Corey on here?
Yes, he is on here. That's the gentleman from 5.
Okay. Hey, Corey, where are you? Can't hear from you.
He started it off.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I joined late, so I was just checking in.
Yes, I am on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like, what happened? You know, like, why aren't you the council person?
That's why
Well, we
we
came up short in the runoff.
Yeah, I know I
Um,
saw, but I was just like, how did that happen? You know, all the great things that you're doing, you know, how did that happen? You know?
well, people bank on low turnout, and so his runoffs historically have less people to come back, and so people bank on it. And so
Right.
I was trying to get more people to come out, but
Mm-hmm.
that did not work. And
Okay.
so as they just scored more baskets than we did, and so
Hmm.
but as
I
let
think
me
that's
just
a
say
topic
this.
of discussion, election strategy that people don't are not aware of.
Well,
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
well, one of the things is this, and so if people can pull up Senate Bill 202 called the Election Integrity Act, and all that did was uh, strengthen the codifications that's already in statute about election laws and pertaining. And so the Election Integrity Act pretty much shores up fraudulent claims. So you know, a lot of people talk about, voter suppression, voter apathy, voter intimidation, you know, voter fraud. Well, I'm trying to look it up here, so if I can share it. That's Senate Bill 202, the Election Integrity Act. It is very interesting how this act gives really more power to the people as well. So if one challenge doesn't go forth in a timely fashion as set forth, well, they put another subsection in there that doesn't allow for time. So it's like at any time. And so I think people should really take a look at that. Give me a few seconds here. I'm trying to pull it up, and if I can share it in the chat. But I encourage everybody to go check that out for themselves. Senate Bill 202.
Alrighty, I got down voter intimidation, voter suppression, how a bill passes, guidelines to run for office, Senate Bill 202, Election Integrity Act, campaign and election strategies, seniors 70 plus putting children or trusted person on accounts. What happens when you don't have insurance and Georgia doesn't accept Medicaid? Create a community contact platform. Do you know who your local representation is and how to contact them? Planning, zoning impacts home and business development, economic development and bringing business to community, redlining for house buying, home and auto insurance, redistricting impacts, compare the 1960s to today. For example, the Voting Rights Act and the Senate bills now, affirmative action versus the 8A certification on hold, passive aggressive laws, for example, DeSantis and the book selection, business owners impacted by government, legislative process, how a policy becomes law, how we are being represented in elected officials, attending council meetings, the importance of voting, does your vote count, why are men not voting while being passive, about learning the world is changing, reading and discussing the Turner Diaries from 1978, Robert Louis Pierce, and participating, Minds is participating in juries. I know a lot of us try to get out of them, but then I hear a lot of people say they don't see us represented when there's a big case on TV or something. But if everybody get out of it, welcome to who left to put on it and go through and make the decision. So we gotta kind of participate.
Outside of that, it's all about
That's a
voting.
good point.
If you are not a registered voter, then you will not be sitting on a jury.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I've been a registered voter since I was 18, and I just 2 years ago sit on a panel. Never even really get called in for jury duty. And that is a good point, Tamiko, in reference to, you know, people always saying, oh, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to take all that. But that's a good point, because I used to say the same thing. But now I'm like, I take pride in, okay, call me. I want to go down there and, you know, and do my civic duty. So that's a good point. People don't want to sit on the jury duty. And also a good point, Chandra, if you don't vote, you're definitely not going to be considered as a
If you're not
juror.
registered, if you're not registered to vote, then you will not be called.
But again,
right.
that's part of the point of we don't understand how one thing impacts the other. And we need to start putting that information out so that people understand that and tell each other, or even the fact that a lot of people who may have a felony we were taught if you got a felony you can't vote, and that's not 100% true. So it's a lot of myths that we need to address as the world has changed one way or the other. Where we stand now. So I think we got a good list to get started. We will always take suggestions. This is not the only time you can make suggestion. I just wanted the first meeting to be an open forum of discussion of what is it that we feel like we need to at least put on the table to get started. And I think the more we go down the rabbit hole, as the gentleman referred to, I think the more we deep dive, we will start seeing where it takes us. So what I would like to do also is not just be in charge of the call, but this year I want the community to be a part of the call and helping with getting some of the speakers to come on and moderating the meetings as well. So anybody who is open to helping with these Monday night calls, as far as, being the moderator and or helping find speakers, to come and talk about some of the topics you want to highlight, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to put my email in here, so that you can so that you know how to get in touch with me. But our email is info at facts to thrive.org. That's our email. Also, I'm glad Miss Stacy pointed out that we had to pass on this info. I did create a number to text, and if you text, it can get you added to the text messaging service that's going to go straight into going into this. So let's say, for example, we have a text messaging service, and so it is broken into categories like this group is going to be our civil liberties group. There is our seniors in Hateville or our seniors in Fairburn. So their names are connected to that group. And then whenever we send out a text specific to that group, it'll go directly to everybody who signed up for that group. So I do want to make sure that I start getting that out as well, that we do have a group text to get our contacts into, so that when a message has to go out specific to this group, we can make sure it happens. Now, let me see what the keyword was. Civics, the CIVICS is the code word to text. Now, since I don't use it, I have to now tell you what number that it needs to go to. Hold on, this list has automations.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna give y'all a real life case study.
Thank you.
And so just ask the Board of Registrants about voting. When you register to vote, if your registration for the Fulton County Board of Registrants has always been one address, just say since you started voting, and it's never changed, what would you have to update the prior year? regardless of whatever the situation has changed for the voter, the address never changed. So you should just ask your board of registration. So if you go back and update one's voter registration to an address that's always been in existing in your system, what did you update? This is a real question for just general purposes, for your knowledge. Because I have questions when it comes to voter registration, things of this nature. That just seems peculiar, and I'm just wondering, maybe somebody else can get an answer. But just ask again, if you registered to vote in 2000 and it's never changed, you never updated your voter registration address or anything else, and the voter registration's office says, well, we, based on the change of address, we updated their voter registration. That's never changed in their system. Do y'all understand what I'm asking? Do y'all understand that narrative? Am I clear? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's for this is Chandra. For me, so you said 2000. Did you really mean 2000 as in 24 years ago?
Just a point of reference without any saying any particular date. But yes, I used the year 2000.
Okay, so if I voted in 2000, and real reality for me is I've relocated a couple of times, both locally and out of state. So if I voted in 2000, then the address will still be current for where I voted in 2000. I will be able as far as the universe is concerned, I'm still at that particular address and only able to vote for those elections that impact me for that particular area. Is that what you're meaning?
Correct, but you've moved so a couple times. But
Right.
when you go back and change your address, the voter registration says, oh, well, we're going to go update your voter registration.
But they never did.
Never did, had to.
Oh, so meaning I'm living in one area but voting in another. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, if I understood you correctly.
This is the real case scenario.
Then yeah, then the two parts aren't lining up.
That's right.
I just want to know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. So
right. What are you updating? Because, per your words, that's when we updated our system. Updated what? Like,
right, because if there's nothing to update, if I didn't go in and do an address change, then you really don't have anything to update, because the system will still reflect what it was prior to me coming in and saying to you, I need to change my address. I need to update my address. And I which may impact where I vote.
Well,
and yeah, that don't even make sense though.
Brother Corey, what I would think is that, first of all, you say you voted with an address you had the last 10 years, so it's continued 10 years, same address. I think that there can be, if in fact the voting, first of all, where you say they have to determine, first of all, is where you stay on that address is your permanent residence, because you might have several homes or whatever, but on your driver license, your renewal driver license, it may say the same address. Now, sometimes, if I think if they want to be a jerk and your say your tax returns or whatever show a different address, they may ask you to prove that, that address that you've been using the last 10 years is still the right address. And the reason I say that is because anytime you have an administration where you can't give water to people that may be in wheelchairs or just tired or just hot, and so on and on, little nitpicky things like that would happen. I'm not surprised if it does. There's a very, very slight limit where someone could have a driver license, been at the same address for the last 10 years on paper, but the last 2 of those years he could have moved maybe to another state and still working in that state and still using that driver license because he's familiar with that district or that area or what have you. So, there's an opportunity for them to do some due diligence only if that wasn't the circumstance. Because even though you said you had your address for the last 10 years or so, there may be something that created a concern where, it's almost, I use schools, for example. You got kids that go to Banneker High School, and now their parents have moved over to Fairburn, and they still going to Banneker because they're in the 11th grade and they want to graduate. Now, if they do something foolish and the social worker find out about it, first thing he gonna check to make sure they still in that same venue. So, I don't think that's something that they can just do randomly, because if they did, it'll take all year to try to do that. And it'd be a waste of time. It almost relate to what happened to Al Gore when he was running against Bush down in Florida. What happened is they threw a monkey wrench in there, claimed that a lot of those people that had voted were convicted felons and so forth, when it was a lie. By the time the Supreme Court confirmed that it was a lie, George Bush was president. So I think that's a game that they can play, but sometimes there are things that create an opportunity for them to play that game.
Well, I think this is also what Corey was talking about as it relates to integrity of the vote. Mr. Bryant, your scenario about the school, I hear you, but that very scenario happened with me when I was in high school and I relocated to another district, same city, different district, and wanted to graduate with kids that I grew up with. Let me tell you where the nuts and bolts come into play. If you have a child that lives in one area, but is wanting to stay in school and technically still attending the school in another area, you have tax dollars that are not being reflective. So that becomes problematic as well. But when it comes to voting, you have someone whom technically should not have a voice in an area if they do not live in that area and can't prove it, or have, muddy in the waters in that they have multiple addresses and the address on your driver's license says one thing, but your tax paperwork says something else, or you got bills that says another thing. So I hear you, but it's not as clear cut.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, one is I would say to the argument that would be correct. However, in Georgia, if you come in from out of state, it's a law. You must update your license to your address where you're domiciled.
Yep.
In 30 days.
Yep.
And if you move within state, get this, Georgia law, 60 days where you're domiciled. Because many people have a lot of addresses, but it's where you're domiciled, where you pay your bills, brush your hair, brush your teeth, where you kick it at, where your home is. And so, as the Georgia Department of Driver Services, they really don't make too many mistakes or an error, because that's why people get frustrated with them. And most of the time, because I know I do, and 10 out of 10 times it's my error, because they have a process. Would everybody agree with that? Well, y'all do know you can now take your license, and a picture of your license now serve as your license hard copy, right? You know you don't no longer need a hard copy for your license. You can take a picture of it.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Hey, Jacor, now
I
explain.
didn't know that either. Well,
Explain
Definitely
that
didn't know that.
because my license, I got to get my license renewed this year, 2024, and I hadn't had to have it renewed for the last 8 years. So I'm like, where do I go? Is it anything? Has technology caught up? What can I do?
Now, get this, everybody. I'm glad you asked. I love people who ask questions. Don't take my word for it. Go to DDS.
D like David, B like boy, S
D
like
like
Sam.
David, B like David, S like Sam.
Oh, DDS. Okay.
Department of Driver Services.
Okay.
Get this. And the very first thing that pops up, pop-up blocker, and bold, DDS is strengthening its protocols for address changes that do not occur in person to curtail fraudsters who try to take advantage of online processes. So that's what, when you type that in, that's the first thing that pops up. Not me, that's DDS. So when you click on go down, and says renew or replace a license ID. And then you got to go in and sign in and do all that other stuff. And you can do it online, sir.
So I can apply for my driver's license online now?
Hey, as the young people say, we going digital. And so scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. You can get your MVR. Yeah, let me see where this is at. Real ID requirements. It's funny what they mean by real ID. Yeah, people get this. Take a picture of your license now. You no longer have to have a hard copy. And so that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I see new license ID, apply for a new license. Okay.
I did not know that, but interacting with the younger set, they had a picture of their license, and I was like, "Where's your real ID?" And they was like, "I don't carry my ID." And I'm like, "Well, how you gonna turn it in to get a job?"
Right. Let
So
alone get
if
stopped.
you look at it, it says, do you have a Georgia Real ID license ID? It says, if you are a U.S. citizen and have a real Georgia ID card, you will not need to bring your documents in again unless you're doing. So
Now I'm up here at Georgia Department of Driver Services. Get a Class C license in Georgia. Okay. Basic requirement, plan ahead, get required document. Please refer to real. Okay, I can feel it. I can take it from here.
This
yeah.
is the part of where I think we don't understand how things are changing. We keep thinking things are the way we know what to do. And if you're not staying on top of what they're talking about when they changing stuff, you have no idea what the new version is.
Well, that's true until you need it.
And then you get hit.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then it says require you have 2 documents showing Georgia residency, where you live, utility bill, phone bill. These documents must show a street address and be dated within the past 6 months. So if one was issued on, I don't know, 8/30/2023, that would mean was being issued on that date, correct?
Uh,
Domicile. Domicile. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, we have national issues pressing our temple right now. And how many of us even know it? It's real life homework. And this is for you to see, for your research. Because one thing it is about me is, please don't take my word for it. If they say it's a process, let's just go to the process. Everybody can be a part of it. Everybody has reasonable thinking. Everybody has thought. Everybody has critical thinking. And some people who are not strong at it, we're going to force them. You must be a critical thinker and just look for yourself. You can please don't take nobody's word for anything, because I'm just saying what you read, what you see in black and white is, well, in translation, people can, misconstrue things. Like I think Tamiko helped out with $7 million in student loan forgiveness. She says different. I don't know. Like people can misspeak or, embellish. But when you go read and look for yourself and go through the process for yourself, you come back and tell us what it is that you think based on what your research was, off of the information that you received. It's real simple.
So you now have an example of how we will be going into some deep dives. I posted in the chat to take a moment if all of you could text the number 470-610-0019 and put in the text word civics. It will register all of you to this text messaging group. So when we have to send something out specific to this group, it will go straight to all of you. So take a moment and write that number down, text that number. I do have one person who already went on ahead and signed up. So thank you very much. It doesn't have their name on it, but it has their number. So
ladies and gentlemen.
What's the number? Oh,
470. It
huh?
should be in the text. It should be in the chat. 470 610 0019.
Okay.
I'll give you a bit of advice. When you're giving out information along with putting in the chat, just go radio slow when you're saying it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you like this. Buckle up, as you're going to be faced, given, dealt the hand of truth. It is, and current things taking place right now, as those I guarantee you will be the facts. And with those facts, you will be able to thrive, particularly in government, and a process that they cannot tell you nothing about. Because if they say injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are anywhere. But we have a book that we can go learn from because we've been educated. So you guys just do a little bit better than that now. Yes, sir. I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna go read that book. And so can you download a copy?
I'm looking on Audible as we speak to see if it's on there.
What you talking about?
That's
Turn It
available
Down?
on Audible.
You already
Books
checked?
like that.
You talking about Turn It
Books
Down?
like that don't typically get. Yeah, it's not available on Audible. You should be able to get it at the library, though.
What you mean? People still got library cards? Just joking. I got mine.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about Turn the Diaries?
Yes.
Yeah, I doubt if they have it at the library.
I bet it'll be available at the library before it's available on Audible.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not available on Audible.
Yeah.
Understand the book was published in 1978.
That don't mean
Yeah.
Now, and see that book. Have any of you ever read The Spook That Sat by the Door?
Absolutely.
So that book is the white man version of The Spook That Sat by the Door.
Mm-mm.
It's Donald Trump's favorite book. They say it's his Bible.
Which one?
Turner Diaries by William Luther Pierce.
By William Luther Pierce?
Right, William Luther Pierce.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, the Turner Diaries.
Now get this. They got the Turner Diaries. One dude holding a machine gun and a lady holding a revolver. As they got this book by Andrew McDonald. Now, very interesting, Turner Diaries. But there's a Madu bookstore in Greenbrier. You can try to check it out there.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go. Well, you have a copy, right? How much is the how many pages is it?
218.
200 and I think 217, 218, something like that.
Oh, so that's a couple days read.
Yeah. And I tell you, when you get ready to read it, go ahead and make sure you ain't got nothing else planned or you're gonna be late to your meeting. But I do tell they do have it on a CD.
Okay, y'all, it's banned by Amazon.
Yep. Well, that's Jeff Bezos. Trump don't care about him.
All over a $290 million contract. he gave to Apple. He said, anyway, man, I tell you, it's amazing.
Let me know what you think about it after you read it, Corey, because I'm telling you, you're going to shake your head a few times.
But you know what, though? I guarantee you, it can answer some questions.
Yeah, it can answer some questions, and it will answer some questions. The challenge is enough of us are not reading books like that to understand the question to ask.
It says the only way bad ideas can be discarded is if they are understood. I tell you, thank y'all for telling me when it's a.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen. We are we lost it.
No, he's on mute.
Oh, he muted himself.
Yeah, I think he's
all right.
He trying to speak and he was on mute.
Yeah. But I do want to wrap it up. It is New Year's, and y'all do got your football games going on. And I just wanted to launch this meeting and get everybody to start noticing we are moving to a different platform. Please make sure you text the word civics, CIVICS, to the number 470-610-0019. And so we'll start sending out text messages from that number, from that text service to you to start reminding you of the meetings. So everybody who's in that group, they'll get the reminders. And I think we got a good list. Those of you who want to help out with these Monday night calls and have a topic that you want to coordinate, please let me know on your own. Contact me, and then we will get these scheduled to get rocking and rolling for us to have these discussions. So we are going to start out with government civics, for the first few meetings till we get that going and people understand that we are trying to inform people about government first. And then we'll start adding in some of the other categories. But we'll start out for the next month on government topics. So with that being said, thank you all for starting off the new year with us. Can you imagine where we will be a year from now and where we've come from over the last 2 years? So we can't do it without you. We can't do it without you inviting people to be on here. All of you are diligent, but there are tons of people who are not hearing what all of you are hearing. So tell a neighbor and tell a friend, and let's see how much we can do on getting more and more people engaged with learning about their community and government. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if it's Monday, it is certainly the call.
Same back time, same back channel.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hope you learned something.